everyone, this is Raina. So this video is for the first of two new moons in Leo. This one is on July 23rd and it's happening at 4:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's an American time zone. And to me, this is a spectacular thing that is happening here. And I did not even really pay it much mind beyond the fact that it was one of two new moons. And then when I started looking at it, I looked at the chart, I looked at the numerology and everything like that. I was kind of blown away. So let me explain. First of all, it's at 0 degrees of Leo. So we have a new moon at 0 degrees. That is pure potential, okay? The number 0, it's actually, I don't think it's considered a number, but it's the alpha and the omega. It's the beginning and the ultimate. Or I don't know if you call it the end, but it is an amplifier of other numbers. When you have a 0 next to another number, it amplifies that number. So it really is like the seed, and a new moon is a seed. It's a seed that can be birthed, you know, if we sow that seed. So as a new moon, it seems to me that it is an incredible opportunity to dream big. And so in addition to it being a 0, the very beginning of possibility in that sign of Leo, but which, by the way, Leo rules the 5th house in astrology, and it deals with conceiving children, creativity. So you're looking at this creative element in its essence, really. But it's in its essence, but it's unknown at this point. So you think about a child that is an embryo. They exist and they are a miniature version of themselves, but they have not made themselves known to others. Their energy can only be sensed. We do not know what will become of this human being. And in the same way, this kind of new moon has multiple possibilities, I would think. And in addition to that, I added up the day. I never can, I think it's the date when you say month, day, and year. Yeah, so it's the date. And the date adds up to a 4. 4 is a number of structure. It's a number of order. Okay, so putting things in divine order is very important, as well as that seeding something. And so it's like you're seeding something that has this potential for being long-lasting, is how I would look at it. And it's very exciting in that sense as well. I'm thinking of calling this, you know, the new moon of pure potential, or anything is possible, because I really do believe that those two statements are true. And with Leo, we're looking at a fire sign. So the element of fire is very creative. Leo, especially being the ruler of the 5th house, is associated with various forms of creativity. And also with children. If you think of the Sun card, you know, the Sun is the ruler of Leo, and in the Rider-Waite deck, it depicts a child. And there's a sense of enjoyment, a sense of happiness associated with the Sun card. And same with Leo. Leo is like kind of the life of the party, lights up a room. The Sun has that warmth that really sustains other people, nurtures them in a positive, you know, you think of Cancer as the nurturer, but Cancer is a feminine sign. So it's more personal to the person that they are nurturing. Leo is like the sun. It just like equally shines a light on everyone. in a very vast sort of way. And there's a generosity with Leo. So let me talk about a few other aspects that are connected to this new moon. And this is actually going to be a video in 2 parts. The second part of the video, I will have the oracle cards. In this video, I will draw at least 1 tarot card to kind of give a little flavor for this new moon. And I'm getting kind of pumped about what is possible with this, because the second new moon, which happens to be in August on the 21st, is going to be at, I believe, 28 degrees of Leo. So it's almost at the end. So you have these bookends. And that will be during a Mercury retrograde, and it's also a solar eclipse. So it's more of a, to me, it's less about intention and more about accepting the change that is coming our way. Now, because it's a new moon, it may be a positive change in Leo. It may be something that makes us happy, and it will affect us depending on what house it hits in our natal chart. But still, it is change, and it can be a little bit unnerving for people who tend to cling to the known, you know. So looking at the aspects, one thing that strikes me is that both the sun and the moon are in conjunction with Mars, and Mars is at 1 degree of Leo, so it's practically an exact conjunction. Having Mars in conjunction with the sun and moon means that this is very active. You know, this is Martian energy, and this is very forward moving, in other words. And because we do have that Mercury retrograde coming up, it is kind of like the last gasp of launching things. Some people who are hardcore with Mercury retrograde might say you can't do it after the 25th because there's a shadow. But, you know, I'm not that way at all. And I think that you could launch if you really feel drawn to launch. Let's see what else is happening. But that is really great because you're going to feel the urge to act. It's not like kind of pulling teeth or anything. The other thing, too, is that we have all these personal planets in masculine signs. Sun and Moon in Leo, Mercury in Leo, Venus in Gemini, and Mars in Leo. A lot of Leo energy, a lot of I was going to say self-esteem, but maybe the better way of looking at it is a lot of consideration for the self and what are we giving to ourselves in terms of the experiences that we attract. Are we in a place where we are being valued? You know, because Leo is about pride. And there's self-pride, obviously, but there's also somebody else recognizing your contributions. You know, Leo's about getting attention. Not that, and I have to kind of make this point. A Leo person who is confident with him or herself is typically not going to be the one that has to always have all eyes on them. But they naturally are extroverted, they naturally are performers, and that's where I think that mostly is what that mostly is about. However, there is the idea of the ego, and this is true of all the fire signs, where Leo, you know, especially the shadow side, wants to be given, maybe even worshipped, but given consideration from others, that they are something special. And we all are something special. So you may feel during this time that you deserve better than whatever it is that you have in your life. And this could, you know, run the gamut. So at the time of this, we have the sun and moon both squaring off to Uranus. So this is going to be more energy rejecting the status quo. I see this as a good thing. It may result in some kind of tension between yourself and others because you're not willing to buy whatever it is that they're selling. You're going to think about life in a way that works for you. Actually, the Mercury is in a trine to Uranus, so it's actually harmonious, and it's going to be independent thinking, but not a rebel without a cause. The sun and moon are squaring off to Uranus, and so that will be more of a sense of ourselves as that healthy ego, that who we are, which is the sun, who we think we are in this world, or who we want to be in this world. And then with the moon, it's our emotional self. And we may reject certain things that are out in the world because they're not serving us, and that's not a bad thing either. Also, another square that's forming is Venus and Neptune. In this particular case, we have to watch out for situations where people are being too idealistic when it comes to romantic partners, and they're really deluding themselves. Neptune in a hard angle can be about lying to yourself because you want a certain situation to be true. With all of this Leo energy, there's a lot of stubbornness in the air, and people insisting on having their own way. And this is an example of existing on believing certain things about a person that either you're coupled with or that you want to be coupled with. And it could be to your detriment. So just putting that out there. And there was another thing I saw here. Yes, Mars square Uranus, yowza. So Mars, either anger or... and this is definitely rebellion, and with Uranus in a square, and there can be this tendency to be acting out rather than, you know, rebellion can be in the form of a sit-in where people are just occupying space, and that was the nonviolent movement, you know, that was employed by Martin Luther King, for example, in the early 60s. Now that you have something like well, I don't know if he, you know, espoused it later in life. I heard he had a change of heart, but Malcolm X said, by any means necessary. And that's more militant, okay? So you have two different types of ways of going about enacting change. Mars and Uranus can actually be simply refusing to follow orders. And that might not be, but it's like there's some kind of a pushback because of that. So people may be waking up, okay? And that's a good thing. And they are saying, no, I don't want to do this. You're not going to manipulate me into doing X, Y, or Z. And by their not doing something, they could be creating problems in the eyes of whoever it is that wants to manipulate them. So it's very interesting. We have had this square in even with full moons, I believe, recently, and it hasn't been too bad. So it's not. I'm not suggesting that anything bad is going to happen. Just to talk about how people are getting more and more. And I've seen this, but I don't know how to put it. More and more individualistic. I don't know if that's the best way. Rebellious. And they're not just going along to get along, okay? And that has some good points to it. So I don't want to just completely, but it may in the interim in between the time that they're starting to act like this and stopping being sheeple and starting to be their own person, there can be it can be a little bit messy. So that's all I'm saying about that. So let's look at another good aspect before I pick a card. I want to end on a good note. We have Mercury trine Saturn. Great for mental discipline. For things, oh my gosh, visualize. Make manifest what is in the realm of thought. And you're planting those seeds. So visualize at this time. And who knows what will come up. And maybe it'll be very quick. Maybe at the time of that solar eclipse, you'll already start to see the fruits of your thoughts. Okay. So I'm going to put out just a few cards. Let's see what story these tarot cards tell. Wow, that's good so far. Okay. I'm going to go like this. I'm learning. Okay. So we have the Ten of Cups. This is family harmony and marriage and things like that. How I see this card in relationship to this Leo new moon is that, as I was saying, this is great energy for conceiving children. Maybe I didn't fully emphasize that, but it surely is. And so I can't even imagine if you were planning a wedding, you might want to look into that date, because that could be with the number 4 being the overall energy of that day. You might be able to really seal in this romantic, loyal kind of committed partnership that Leo represents. And just in general, all of those warm feelings. This is, we're talking about cups here, so we're talking about the emotional side of life. But that was a great card to get. That's a card of celebration. There may be a lot of people just wanting to enjoy themselves. Leo, 5th house, parties, amusing activities. Then we have the Knight of Swords. Just like I said, being outspoken, standing in your truth, not letting other people try to define you. With that Uranian energy. And it's actually, again, as I say, I think I did say there was a trine between Mercury and Uranus. So it's a rebellious energy, and swords all relate to all air signs. I don't know if this one is connected to Aquarius specifically, but the Knight of Swords is somebody who tells it like it is. They're not mincing words. They're not dancing around issues. I could see somebody at this time really being themselves and letting the chips fall where they may, because they're doing it for a higher good. It's not being done to hurt people. It's being done to help a situation. And this can make other people feel like it might enliven other people, but it also might be a time when people feel like they can connect fully because they know where the other person stands. Too often today, people are hiding their true feelings. And, that's why we see all this crap on the internet where people are anonymous and they're saying stuff because it's the only time when they feel like they can be themselves. There's so much censoring. I'm not talking about by the government or anything like that. I'm talking about social censoring of people and trying to demonize them for having certain thoughts. The more that we can engage other people and figure out where they're coming from, even if we don't agree with what they think and what they say, I think the safer a society we have, the more honest a society we have. We're a two-faced society. We might say something to other people's faces in public, and then in our private life we have totally different beliefs. but we don't feel that anybody would accept them. And that's the challenge is, and I think more people are getting to that place where they realize they have to speak out. It's not optional anymore, and it's not what you think. I'm not talking about the typical things that people speak out on. Sometimes you need to speak out for somebody that you don't necessarily agree with and say, I don't think that you should be bashing this person. Even though I don't agree with what they think and the choices they make, I still believe that they have a right to say what they want to say. So it might actually be something about speaking out against political correctness, actually. Who knows? But in any case, the other card that I drew was the Two of Pentacles. This card, I think, is so true of a lot of people these days. And we're talking about this in the realm of the practical matters, where people are working more than one job. They may be going back to school or just doing something that they would like to do, which really is their passion, doing that on the side, hoping to make that their sole way to make money in the future. So I think there's going to be more of that and more acceptance of that as a way of life. This card, the Two of Pentacles, also connects to getting a job offer. Could be in a different country. That happens quite a bit around the world, where people are going from one country to the other and working these contract jobs which have a shelf life, so they're temporary. You're not going to stay there forever. And they travel quite a bit. So I see the Knight of Swords as well as the Two of Pentacles as cards of movement, okay? Whether it's movement of the mind or of the body. And the Ten of Cups is a card of family bliss and marital bliss. So being able to integrate those concepts is also a challenge, but maybe people are starting to do that. They're starting to realize that they have to change. They have to make adaptations because of how their lives have shifted. And maybe they are willing to do that because they really care about the person that they're with. So stay tuned for part 2 when I pull some oracle cards. And take care, you guys. Bye.